I want to take a break and let you reflect on what I just said. I want you to think about this, because when we come back with more Beauties of Islam, I want to go into this and show you the difference between what we call equality and equity. Sit right there. Don't go away. We're going to be right back with more Beauties of Islam.
Islam is keeping up the pace. Islam is for every race.
We're back. You're watching our program called Beauties of Islam. What we were talking about is the difference between something called equality and something called equity. And we've already discovered that a woman and a man are different. Now, anybody that studied biology knows that. But a funny thing happened one time. I was in India, and a doctor came to me, and he said, I'm not a Muslim, and I like a lot of the things that I've read about Islam, especially when he talks about the miracles found in the Quran and the science that's there in Islam. 1400 years ago, people couldn't have known those things. Many things. The idea that God is one. And he's very sold on Islam. He said, except one thing. I said, what is that? He said, the way that Islam is treating a woman different than a man. I said, you're a doctor? He said, yes. I said, PhD or medical? He said, no, I'm a medical doctor. I said, and you don't know the difference between a man and a woman? And he started laughing, and we were kidding around, you know. And I said, no, seriously, there's a difference between men and women. He said, absolutely. I said, and do you prescribe exactly the same treatment or medication for a patient that's a woman and a man? He said, well, in some cases you can, but not in all cases, because, and he started to explain why. I said, hold on. That's my point exactly. In some cases, you can see easily that the man and the woman are on equal footing. But in other cases, they're not. And this is when you have to go to what we call equity. Meaning to give what's properly due for the individual or the group, which is not the same as for the other individuals or group. Let me explain. And I began to talk to him about the differences that Islam is offering for men and women. The first thing and foremost in Islam that every Muslim has to do is to declare what's called shahada. We say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu Muhammad Rasulullah. I bear witness in open testimony that there's no God or deity to worship except the real God. And I bear witness that Muhammad brought this message. And Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the messenger of God, and I'm going to do my best to follow him. This is the meaning. And this is the same for men and women. The same. There's no difference. Immediately after a person does this thing called shahada, the next thing they're responsible for is something called salawatul khams. 5 times a day to establish their prayers. To stand, bow, prostrate, and sit, and do this repetition 5 times a day. This is a form of ibadah or worship in Islam. Yes? Yes. I said, now, every Muslim has to do this how many times a day? 5. How many days a week? 7. How many days a month? 30. Wait a minute. Not women. He said, why? I said, during her monthly cycle, her menstruation cycle, which could be 7, 8, or 10 days, how many days it is, she's forbidden to do her salah or worship at that time. Why? Well, because Allah has ordered it so. He does not want her to do that. Do you imagine that the woman is in pain and suffering? So Allah doesn't want her distracted in the salah like this, and He allows her just to keep Allah in her mind by doing what's called dhikr, remembering Allah, reciting Quran to herself, but she doesn't do the salah, and she doesn't make it up. He said, oh, I didn't think of that. I said, wait a minute. There's a lot of things you and I won't think about because we didn't create human beings. He said, you're right. I said, okay, next. The next thing after the salah is called zakah. Zakah is to pay something on your wealth. how much wealth you hold in a year's time, and then at the end of the year, whatever you didn't use, you pay a tax on that, like 2.5% to the poor and the needy. It's the same for the men as it is for the women, and there's no difference. He said, okay, that makes sense. I said, but then the next one is called Ramadan. Psalm Ramadan, this is fasting. Now, again, all 30 days of the month of Ramadan, a man and a woman are not supposed to eat or drink or have intimate relations, except for the woman. In this case, the woman is excused from those same days again. So if she has 6, 7, 8, or 10 days, whatever it is that she's in her cycle, she just marks her calendar for those days, and then she can make up the fasting, although she doesn't have to do the salah, that she didn't make that up. But she can make up the fasting at days of the year which are more convenient and easier. And by the way, can you imagine in the hottest time of the year, she's getting time off, and then in the winter months she could choose, I'll take those easy days. And then we come to the one called Hajj. And Hajj, again, there's a difference between men and women. A man must make Hajj or pilgrimage once in his life when Allah makes a way for him to go. But the woman, she doesn't have to do this unless she has a man to go along with her to protect her and help her. Even if she didn't get to do Hajj, Allah could give her the reward for it. Because why? Because Allah is giving something better than equality. He's giving equity. The woman and the man are different. And Allah knows what He created. And He made this way of life, Deen of Islam, for what He created. And that's one of the beauties of Islam. Until next time, peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Islam is peace. Islam.